This is Holy Cross mock component 1 and this is mock 3 question 7. 13 marks on the nitrogen cycle. And here's a cycle. I've got a few bits of a human impact on there as well. A straightforward start process box A. So this is taking nitrate and returning it to atmospheric gaseous nitrogen. So that is denitrification. On here you can see all the other aspects of the nitrogen cycle you might expect to see. Fixation, so nitrogen fixing, then we've got assimilation of nitrate. Where does the nitrate comes from? Well, it comes from originally ammonia via nitrifying bacteria. We've got putrefaction or decay. So everything you expect to see there. State 1 type of organism represented by the decomposers. So they break down these plants and animals. So things like bacteria, fungi, any other saprophytes. I'm going to put fungi down, just so that we separate it from these other bacteria that we might be talking about. Describe the use made by plants of nitrate. And this is a bit of a clue here where you've got fertilizers adding to the nitrate, and then that's what the plants are going to use. So it's to do with kind of plant growth. So these will form amino acids, proteins. It's all to do with growing new cells, so growth of new cells, tissues. Any other examples? Things like making nucleic acids. So this nitrate will combine with what the plant's made in photosynthesis and form these other compounds. So pretty straightforward first page there. Then we're presented with a strange looking graph of a fish tank. The advice here is, well, you've got your nitrogen cycle, you revised your nitrogen cycle. They can only really ask you about stuff that you've learned. You don't have to make anything up really. So the biological theory should be what you know. And when you look on this graph, you can see total nitrogen, so all the nitrogen added up. You can see 3 forms of nitrogen: ammonia, nitrite and nitrate. And you can see these on your diagram on the left. So ammonia, nitrite, nitrate. So you can go, I bet they're going to ask me, it might be something to do with bacteria or one leading on to the next, that sort of thing. To start off with, we just need to describe the changes. So we are just describing, not explaining anything. So we're not going to mention any bacteria or anything being converted into anything else. We're just going to look at this graph and describe what's going on. We're not going to talk about the ammonia, we're just going to talk about the nitrite going up to a peak, then going down, then nitrate going up, and it's between days 0 and then up to 40. So make sure we get the time right and the 2 lines that we want to talk about. Anything else, we're just wasting our time. Nitrite. Well, nitrite, I'm going to say starts at 0 on day 0, starts to increase at day, so probably 10, 9, 8, probably about day 8. Increases to a peak of, each one of these is 2, so it's 20, 22, 24, 26, 25. So peak of 25, whatever the units are here, just copy them, milligram per dm cubed. And what day does that happen on? That happens on day 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 25, 26, about day 26. Then decreases to just less than 2, so less than 2 milligram per dm cubed by day 11, 12, sorry, this one, by day, talking about ammonia, oh no, talking about the wrong one. Starting is day 8, peak of 25 on day 26, then decreases. By day 40, it's 2 by day 40. Nitrate. So nitrate increases from 0 on day, it's still on about day 15. And increases up to day 40. And that really, we don't want to talk about it after that. So we've sort of just described the lines, tried to use some numbers. If there's a peak, we've said a peak. We've tried to sort of give the starting and the end positions, and you can't really be asked to do much more than that. It's a little bit tricky describing the lines. These next ones are pretty straightforward, I think. Just suggest why ammonia increases between day 0 and 12. So ammonia increases because there's goldfish, and you know about fish excretion of nitrogen. They do that as ammonium, as they can get rid of it quickly and easily into the water. So excretion or waste produced by the fish. Could possibly suggest it's fish food, but that's the biology answer there. Part 3, explain why the levels of ammonia decrease. Well, we're back onto our other diagram now. So ammonia decrease, well, why? Well, it's given you a box here with some bacteria in, that's the best answer. So ammonia, or it's dissolved as ammonium, converted, or you might say oxidized, to nitrite, and that'll probably get you the 2 marks. But we're going to say, by bacteria. And you can get away with bacteria here, or you could say, according to this diagram, nitrite bacteria, or you could go to your nitrogen cycle and go, is it nitrobacter? But you don't need to get the mark on this occasion. You just say bacteria or nitrifying bacteria. Explain why the nitrate differs from the nitrite by day 40. So it's going, why is nitrate going up still and nitrite is going down? Well, similar sort of answer, and from our diagram, well, nitrite is being converted into nitrate by some bacteria. So that's our first answer. Nitrite converted to nitrate. And that'll get you the mark. But we might as well add, well, why does it carry on going up and not going down? Or where would nitrate go? We'll go back to our diagram. Where would nitrate go? It goes to plants. So perhaps there's no plants in the fish tank. It says it's a closed fish tank. But we've already got the mark. But we can say possibly the nitrate not taken up by, for example, plants. And lastly, suggest what could have happened to cause the effect at point E on the diagram. So everything seems to go down all at once. So it doesn't really look much like a biological process to happen in kind of almost instantaneously. And what do people do with fish tanks? Well, occasionally they change the water because it gets murky or whatever. So the best answer is the water was changed, or more water was added. The tank was cleaned, that sort of thing. Other possible things you can get away with, suddenly a lot of plants grew, a lot of algae grew. But even then we'd expect a more kind of curved line than that angular one. So for your 13 marks there, and when you look back on it, well, it's stuff I've learnt about the nitrogen cycle and just put down in the right place. I've interpreted the diagrams and given my knowledge in the right context. And that's a skill that you need AO2.